Strong winds toppled trees into power lines, sparking the most destructive wildfire in Texas history. The Bastrop County fire devoured more than 35,000 acres, killing 2 people and destroying nearly 1,700 homes. 50 million people lost power during the massive Northeast blackout of 2003. This 2-day-long outage was caused, in part, by an unpruned tree that contacted a high-voltage transmission line. A 10-year-old boy died after contacting a fallen power line outside his grandparents' home in Olympia, Washington. A falling tree limb brought the power line down. Trees and overhead power lines, they're a bad combination. It takes just one tree branch near a high-voltage line to ignite a raging wildfire, cause a massive power outage, or bring a power line down where it can injure or kill. To prevent these incidents, PG&E's vegetation management team works to keep trees away from our high-voltage power lines. It's a huge job. Each year, our crews and inspectors visit about 2 million properties. We work on about 6,000 trees every day, and we do it in a 70,000 square mile service area that includes some of the most diverse terrain in the world. Certainly no one likes power outages and no one wants an electric hazard in their yard, and we know our customers love their trees and may not be so eager to see them pruned or removed. So a big part of our job is helping you understand how and why we do what we do. It's all about keeping you safe and keeping the lights on.
It feels good to know that the work that we do keeps people safe.
I love my job. It's great working on trees to prevent outages and other trouble.
PG&E's vegetation management team includes 2,000 contractors and employees. Our inspectors, many of whom are certified arborists, patrol 134,000 miles of overhead electric lines in our service area each year. They look for trees that must be removed or pruned to maintain a safe distance from these lines. If an inspector or a tree care company has informed you that PG&E will be working on your trees, it's probably because they're growing too close to high voltage lines. These lines are at the very top of utility poles. They're located far out of reach, and for good reason. The electricity they carry is strong enough to seriously hurt or kill someone. PG&E contracts with expert tree care companies whose workers are line clearance qualified. This means they are required to follow Cal OSHA regulations to perform line clearance work near high voltage lines, and they have the equipment and training required to get the job done safely. Never attempt to do this work yourself or to hire a tree worker who's not line clearance qualified. You could put your own life or someone else's at risk. If you are concerned about trees too close to power lines, call PG&E at 1-800-PGE-5000. PG&E's tree crews may also prune trees near the lower voltage power lines below transformers if the lines are strained or abraded from nearby branches. Our tree crews will not prune around cable TV lines, phone lines, or the service wires that carry electricity from the pole to your home or business. All of these lines are lower voltage and do not pose a hazard when in contact with trees. However, service wires are quite dangerous for people to contact. Keep yourself and tools and equipment far away from them. If trees near your service wires require pruning, please call 1-800-PGE-5000 to request a temporary service disconnect. This way, you or your contractor can perform the necessary tree work in a safe environment.
I'm lucky to work near where I live. This is my neighborhood. I work on my neighbor's trees almost every year, so I make sure they know what I'm up to.
I know people get a little nervous when someone else is cutting their trees, but we really have their best interests at heart.
If you're like most of the property owners we meet, you want 3 things from the people who work on your trees. You want to be informed about the work that we do, you want your trees to be pruned properly, and when we leave, you want the work area restored to the condition it was in before we arrived. Here's how we do our best to satisfy these concerns. We keep you informed and we listen to you. We attempt to notify you before we inspect your tree or work on it. You may get an automated phone call or a knock on the door from an inspector who will explain the work that must be done and a rough time frame. If we can't reach you by phone or in person, we'll leave a door hanger with this information. We encourage you to call us if you have any questions or if extensive work is planned. Tree removals are handled a little differently depending on the type of nearby power line. Dead, dying, or diseased trees that could fall across a power line are prioritized for removal to protect public safety and prevent tree-caused outages. For distribution lines, we give the property owner notice before removing any trees on their property unless it's an emergency. For transmission lines, we also provide notice for tree removals in right-of-ways. Removals near these larger lines are completed on a case-by-case basis to ensure public safety and reduce the risk of large-scale outages. We work hard to find win-win solutions. Sometimes we have to remove trees in critical transmission line corridors without notifying the owner simply because the work is immediately necessary for public safety, system reliability, or regulatory compliance.
I want our customers to talk to us if they have any questions about what we do. I'm always happy to answer any questions, and I know the rest of my crews are too.
You can also call PG&E at 1-800-PGE-5000 anytime to request a personal visit to discuss proposed tree work. Let's be honest, tree pruning can be a little bit controversial. Everyone has an opinion on how a tree should be pruned and how it should ultimately look. Most people's idea of a beautifully pruned tree looks something like this, or this, or this. But if you knew a tree near power lines could start a fire, cause an outage, or hurt someone in your neighborhood, you might want that tree pruned a little differently. Directing tree growth safely away from high-voltage power lines may require reshaping the tree into a V or an L, or pruning just one side of the tree. This is known as directional pruning.
Well, the work we do may look a little different than what people expect or even want, but we're doing it the right way and with people's safety in mind.
Directional pruning leaves a very different look than the manicured profile of most landscape and ornamental trees, but that does not mean a poor job was performed. Our directional pruning methods align with best management practices and national standards to promote tree health. Directional pruning results in a minimal number of required cuts and directs the growth away to ensure clearance from the line. Sometimes we prune beyond the minimum required clearance to allow for growth, wind sway, and other factors. We also may cut larger clearances for fast-growing species like eucalyptus or redwoods. We'd rather people plant these and other tall trees far from power lines in the first place. Our Right Tree, Right Place program provides customers guidance on planting trees and landscaping to avoid conflicts with power lines. This is a great program. In addition to pruning upper tree limbs and branches away from power lines, we may clear lower branches and other vegetation to create fire breaks at the base of utility poles and towers. State law requires us to do this work in areas of high fire danger.
Honestly, when we finish with your trees, they may not always look the way you want them to, but you can rest assured knowing that they're pruned according to the best management practices for trees near power lines.
We prune trees so they're a safe distance away from power lines, keeping you, your family, and your neighborhood safe. It's a trade-off most people are willing to make once they understand.
Cleanup is another big customer concern. We always take care of the small stuff, but we do leave you the big pieces. After all, it's your tree.
It's important to me to leave the area looking as good or better than I found it. We definitely don't want to leave a mess.
We remove and chip branches less than 4 inches in diameter where accessible. We're always looking for customers to accept wood chips. Please call us at 1-800-PGE-5000 if you're interested in this free service. We cut larger limbs and trunks into more manageable lengths and leave them for property owners to use as firewood or dispose of as they wish. If you don't want to keep the wood, some options for disposal include contacting local service organizations, fire-safe councils, green waste facilities, woodcutters, and haulers. In remote rural locations, we lop and scatter wood debris in accordance with forest practice rules to avoid excessive vegetation buildup. Now you know a little bit about our approach to vegetation management and how sincerely we have your best interests in mind. If you have questions about trees near power lines, please call us anytime at 1-800-PGE-5000. Remember, it's all about keeping you safe and keeping the lights on. This message brought to you by Pacific Gas and Electric Company.